This is Edward October, host of OctoberPod on YouTube. Hear that jingle jingle? It could be Kris Kringle, or a home invader looking for an open window, a jilted lover looking for revenge, or a disgruntled coworker hoping to spike your eggnog with arsenic. The girls of our true crime podcast are always on Santa's nice list, but the crimes they discuss are very naughty indeed. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, Cam, how are you?
You didn't seem as excited as me.
I was going to say you reminded me of Fat Albert, but then I was going to say Fat Cam, and then I thought, well, God, she's going to really take offense to that.
I would not take offense to that. It's okay. Hey, yeah. I'm okay. I'm jolly. I'm okay. It's Christmas. I'm jolly. No, it's okay.
But you should be proud I even caught myself before I said that, because normally my foot would be in my mouth.
Yeah, but see, guess what? You still said it, so that counts. I
told you that I was good, that I wasn't going to say it, right?
I got you. I
don't know. We're all jolly because it's the holiday season. Right?
The kids hate it because every day on the way to school, I just crank that music and they are so over it. But I do have to say that I sing it really loud and they look at me like, stop. Well,
I sing everything really loud, but due to all my many years of retail in the 90s, I cannot listen to Christmas music, especially. And God forbid, I love Dolly Parton, but Hard Candy Christmas.
What?
It makes me want to stab my eyes out.
What? You go sit in the corner and you think about what you just said. You need to rephrase that, sister.
Trust me. I love Dolly.
Next,
with all
you're
going to
say that
song,
Mariah Carey and Celine Dion is not good. I don't even know what to say anymore. Whatever.
Fine and dandy, Lord, it's like a hard candy Christmas. Nope, can't do it.
I'm heartbroken right now. I don't even know what to say. I thought we were friends. I thought I knew you.
It's all because of the damn bookstore.
First of all, you don't need to say a bad word right now, but it's the season of giving and love. You ready for this? You ready for this?
I am. Are you ready for this? Yeah, let's go. What are you waiting for?
Okay. So we are now on day 7. And in the 12 days of Christmas, what is the 7? 7 pipers piping. Is that right? 9 pipers.
I think so.
I don't even know. It's 7 something. Comes after the partridge and pear tree. And
you're really good.
Whatever. Something like that.
It's 7 something. You're really good. Yeah.
Well, it is. It's 7 something. I don't know. Did you notice I said the partridge and the pear tree and the 5 golden rings? That's all I really care about. Yeah. Let's be honest. Okay.
There's also the beer and the beer in a pear tree, or the
beer and a beer
in a tree.
No, in a beer. That was the Canadian boy.
Yeah.
Which is very.
And then
cute.
they're like, I think something needs to go to the end of that, and that would be a beer in a tree. Yeah.
That's good stuff. I love it. All right, Jen. Let's bring it on down right now. Bring it. Let's
take it down now. Take it down
because it's a little somber and this is terrible. And, on this podcast we do, I can't even say, and we've talked about this, I can't even tell you how many times about why do people do what they do? And it's like, what? And like, it smacks you in the face. And if I say like one more time, I'm going to smack myself in the face. Okay. Anyway, here we go. Many women dream of becoming mothers, and they're so excited when they finally get to welcome that little bundle of joy into the world. And, couples struggle so much sometimes to conceive, and they spend so much money trying to make their dreams of becoming parents a reality. But for this one mother, conceiving a child was the easy part, but seeing them live past their 4th birthday was another matter.
How devastating.
Diana Lumbrera was barely 17 years old when she first met and married Lionel Garza in 1974. Now, as one would expect from a young teen, The marriage was rocky from the get-go, but it did produce 3 beautiful babies. Daughter Melissa was born in 1975, Joanna in 1976, and their first son, Jose Lionel, in 1977. The nightmare began when Diana, who had an infant cradled in her arms, ran into the local hospital in Bovina, Texas, screaming at staff for help. Diana told hospital personnel that her daughter was having convulsions before she suddenly stopped breathing. The baby was little Joanna, and she was just 3 months old. A pathologist... Oh, you have no idea, girl.
No.
I can't
Merry Christmas, everybody. I know.
Pathologists would later claim that Joanna's death was due to asphyxiation caused by a convulsive disorder. Under the circumstances, no autopsy was performed. It was just an unfortunate circumstances, or so authorities thought.
It's because everybody wants to think of the best of people, you know?
I mean, that's the first baby. I get it. Like, that does happen. It's terrible. It's awful. Why aren't you calling 911?
I couldn't imagine. I could not imagine that happening. But yes, I agree.
Call the ambulance. I don't know, like to drive them to the hospital. But this was her MO. This is what she did. It was February 10th, 1978, when Diana brought Jose, just 2 months old, into the Bovina emergency room, claiming that Jose had suddenly gone into convulsions and stopped breathing. Physicians rushed the baby in as he was still alive, and they performed resuscitation on little Jose. Thankfully, it worked. Jose was breathing on his own once again, but doctors could not find any cause for the seizure or convulsion. Now, just to be safe, doctors sent Jose off to the Lubbock Pediatric Intensive Care Unit for observation. I mean, he's so young. Of course they are. Just to be safe, they wanted to watch him, make sure everything was good. His condition was listed as stable on February 13th, when, at 1 a.m., an alarm sounded from Jose's hospital room calling for a nurse. As the nurse entered the room, she would see Diana hovering above the crib. What's wrong with people, right?
Munchausen by Prout. I can't even say it. Yes.
I know what you're...
They're sick.
That bad thing. Now, strangely, that very afternoon, Diana had phoned her husband to tell him that Jose was dying. And shortly after 6:30 p.m. that night, a nurse saw Diana run from that baby's room in tears. So the nurse entered the room, and she found Jose blue. Workers would perform CPR on the baby for 30 minutes, but it failed to revive the infant. Now, perhaps the family was cursed with a horrible genetic condition, or that's what the doctors thought at first, right? Because who kills their baby? Not okay, you know what I mean?
A lot of people, but go ahead.
On October 2nd, just 8 months after the loss of Jose, Diana walked into the Bovina, again, emergency room with 3-year-old Melissa in her arms. But
the same hospital?
Yes, she does it again and again. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy. With 3-year-old Melissa in her arms. But unlike Jose before, Melissa had already passed away. Diana told doctors about how her family had suffered unexplained convulsions followed by a rapid death. Pathologists concluded that Melissa's death was due to the aspiration, which I don't understand this, aspiration of her stomach contents, and the case was closed. So I guess she threw
up and then it went down her airways.
Yes.
Like Mama Cass, supposedly, or anybody that
wasn't that Jimi Hendrix
chokes on their vomit. Yeah.
Same hospital, babies, you know. Diana divorced her husband in 1979, but would continue to date. And, you know, by date, I mean, she had babies with other men, which is fine. That's totally fine unless, you know, unless you're on our true crime podcast show, and then there's a problem.
Or you're a killer. Yeah.
We're not going there yet, Jen. We don't know that yet. Starting in 1980, she would have 4 children each by a different baby daddy, which again is fine. But that rare condition that struck her earlier children was now spreading.
Lord.
It was on October 8th, 1980, Diana took her cousin's daughter, 6-week-old Erica Alman, for a little drive. Now, that drive would end in the ER of the local hospital where Diana brought in a dead baby Erica. Once inside, she was claiming that baby, too, was having convulsions. prior to dying. Now, that's what she had claimed with her own babies, right? But this wasn't her baby. It was a cousin's baby. Even though the hospital had dealt with Diana not once, but twice, but now 4 times.
Oh, no.
Exactly.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Doctors saw no reason to suspect her of harming any child or that child. And she was sent home. Now, this is when I say that, you know what? Come on. And maybe there is a really bad genetic condition with the family. I get it. That happens. I mean, I think it happens, right?
Right.
But let's investigate and be sure. Because
but
if not...
4?
But now you're going to have what? Not 1, not 2, not 3 more babies die. Ready?
Right.
We're on that day. On August 17th, 1982, 2-year-old Melinda never even made it to the hospital. Instead, she was pronounced dead at her mother's home. Death was attributed to acute heart failure due to an increased taxation as a case of congenital heart disease. Now, incredibly, once again, she was allowed to go home. So this makes 4. Is that right? 4, right?
4?
4 babies. Diana was pregnant again, and at just 15 months after the death of Melinda, she had a baby boy named Daniel. On March 25th, 1984, he was brought into the doctor's office and was treated for an ear infection, given antibiotics, and sent home. Now, sadly, just 3 days later, Daniel was brought into the emergency room, but this time he was dead on arrival. The official cause of death was listed as septicemia, which is a fatal blood infection, as we probably may know. I don't know.
No, I don't think I've heard of it.
Septicemia? Yeah, you have.
Oh,
septic?
Okay.
Septic, like in your body. Authorities pulled blood tests because, he'd been at that doctor earlier for that ear infection, so they wanted to see what those blood results had shown, if there was anything in there earlier that would indicate that maybe something was going on with the septicemia or blood poisoning, whatever. Guess what? Nope. No evidence. No evidence. Just mere days before, there was no evidence that he was suffering from this. So confused and, honestly, unable to explain it, the death was dismissed as inexplicable. I have to think at this point that maybe Diana wanted to start a new life, or maybe she was worried that they were somehow catching on to her little scheme. So, in 1985, Diana moved to Garden City, Kansas. Now, she must be really lucky in love, Jen, or something like that, because guess what? She was pregnant again on February 21st.
I would just say she's lucky. So, yeah.
On February 21st, 1986, she would find herself again delivering another baby boy, and this time the little sweet pea's name was Jose Antonio.
Ugh. Gosh.
Now,
that poor
little
baby.
Little Jose, it would turn out he would end up surviving the longest. He made it past, or just past, rather, his 4th birthday. But on May 1st, 1990, Diana carried little Jose into the hospital. He was already gone. He had already passed. Now, I have to go back to that and think that, that she kind of made the mistake with, I think it was baby number 2, and they had resuscitated the baby back. And so from then on, you can see that, she made sure that she would take them in there, and the baby or toddler had already passed away. She would go back and blame them that they were unable to resuscitate and make the baby survive. This time, Jen, however, it's a little different. The hospital staffers called police. Thank God, right? Detective James Hawkins was sent in, and he questioned Diana. And during the questioning, he put together a list of all her children that she'd had, because that's a pretty common question. How many children have you had? They're trying to see if it's hereditary or something like that. And along with all the places and the dates of their death. And to say that he was shocked is an understatement. During the questioning, police began to figure out a few things. It seems Diana had taken her son to a local physician claiming that he had these unusual, mysterious convulsions. And that's what she had been claiming all along with many of them, many of the babies that had died under her care. The doctor could find no logical cause, but he wrote a prescription for antibiotics. Now, Diana never bothered to fill them. In retrospect, authorities would say later, of course, putting this all together, and I guess aligning with other doctor visits through the years, She had deliberately went to go see these doctors with a sick baby days before so that she could stage the groundwork, right? That they were sick and then somehow
she was playing the game. Right.
Yes. Were struck with a fatal attack, right? And that all that stuff.
And then she can say, see, I told you. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
She's trying to get smarter.
But this time she wasn't so lucky. Thank goodness. Just 4 days later, May 5th, 1990, Diana was arrested in Kansas for the alleged murder of Jose Antonio Lumbrera. Jose Antonio Lumbrera.
Jose Antonio Lumbrera.
Cute.
That works.
Name. Yeah, it's cute, right?
I'm sure it was the cutest little baby, too.
All babies are cute, honestly. In Texas, authorities from Palmer, Lubbock, now these are the counties, Palmer County, Lubbock County, and Castro counties, launched an investigation into the allegations, and they discovered a few additional things, Jen. Number one.
Oh, yeah?
Always, right? Number one, each of Diana's children had been insured for amounts between $3,000 and $5,000. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot, but you have to look at how many babies had passed away under her care. Now, in Melissa's case, Melissa was, one of the first babies. In Melissa's case, a second insurance policy was purchased just 1 day before she died. I don't even know. Number two, Diana was the only person that observed the children when they had the so-called seizure. And with the exception of Jose Lionel, all were beyond help when Diana brought them in for medical care. And I think, I just have to say, and just speaking out of turn here, I think that she learned from him that they were able to resuscitate him. You know what I mean? And then that made it worse when he
So she had to, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Number three, Jose Antonio was insured for $5,000 when he died. Now, these are little guys. And I get that.
Tiny.
I get that you insure them for, to cover funeral arrangements and expenses and stuff like that. But
God, I even hate talking about that. Yeah, no.
It's awful. And you hope it never happens.
I'm not even sure if our kids are insured, to be honest. I mean, we probably should, but I don't think we do have insurance on the kids.
My dad got the kids a Gerber life and policy or whatever that is, and the idea is that they keep it and then they cash it out when they're 18, and it's like $500 or something.
My dad did that with me too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I get if you're struggling for money, if something that awful happened, the last thing you want to do is think about money. But when it happens again and again and again, come on.
Yeah, there's a problem.
In July 1990, a Palmer County, Texas grand jury indicted Diana for the first-degree murder in the cases of Joanna, Melinda, and Melissa. Lubbock County weighed in with charges stemming from Jose Lionel's death, while Castro County indicted Diana for Erica Almond's slaying. Now, Erica was the little girl that was the cousin's child. I mean, she's so sick for killing her children. Let's be honest.
Oh.
I mean, that needs to be on the table. But when you're killing a relative of yours, I don't even... And a lot of these cases is you want to get the gratitude or the glory for helping revive them or save them. You know what I mean? But she was killing them before she even brought them in there, minus that one. So I just have to wonder, what sympathy? I think it was sympathy, and we'll get to that in a minute. During the trials, other information was brought out. Diana loved sympathy and attention, as we can clearly tell. Her employer was called in to testify in the trial about how she had told him that little Jose was battling leukemia, which he was not. The little baby did not have
Well, that's what they all
leukemia,
say.
Right? Yeah, an officer who had worked at the credit union where she banked testified how the credit union loaned her $850 after she told them about her own father's death in a non-existent car accident. Yeah.
That's sick.
On April 23rd, 1991, a jury in Palmer County, Texas, found Diana guilty of murder in the first degree in less than 3 hours of deliberation. Diana was sentenced to life in prison. Lubbock County was next in line. Now, they handed down a third life sentence after Diana pled no contest with no technical admission of guilt to her first son's death. In Castro County, Texas, the courts waived prosecution on the charges to save an estimated $50,000 in court cost. Now,
really?
Yeah, okay. See, I was just like, I had to read that like 5 times when I saw that because I was like, really? But I mean, I get it because she's already in jail. What purpose is it going to serve? But at the same time, right?
Right. No, yeah.
So, Diana Lumbrera is serving time at the Carroll Young Complex in Texas. Now, she came up and was denied parole on March 13th, 2018. And the denial reason was, and I just found this new little website, and I gotta tell you, I'm kind of fascinated by it. You can go in and like look up inmates and stuff, and I'm sure everybody probably knows this, and I'm glad I'm a year and a half into this podcasting thing. But like you can find stuff, so it's kind of cool, right? So anyway, she was denied parole on reason 2D, and 2D is the record indicates that the instant offense has elements of brutality, violence, assaultive behavior, or conscious selection of victims' vulnerability, indicating a conscious disregard for the lives, safety, or property of others, such that the offender poses a continuing threat to public safety. I don't know, I kind of like that, whatever. Her next parole review is set for March 2023. So
2023, point, so not much longer.
Every culture is different, right? And I respect it. I love it. It's awesome. So here's a little something, something. And I'm going to say these names wrong, and I'm sorry. So why were these children killed? Diana told authorities that her former mother-in-law had put a curse on her so that all of her children would die young. She believed that her mother-in-law was a curandero, which is a traditional native healer or shaman found in Latin America, United States, and Southern Europe. These people could touch you and not only heal you, but they could also curse you, okay? So Diana's sister had testified in court that she actually heard the mother-in-law damn the children to death, while the ex-husband had testified that the mother had never cursed the children. Deputy Sheriff Richard Bonham, who helped lead the investigation into the deaths of the children in Texas, believes that the curse is a scapegoat. Maybe it is. I don't know. And then he says, quote, some people that believe in curanderos and witchcraft will say it does have an effect, but in our investigation that holds no water for defense of what she has done to those babies. And
that's it. You know, it's kind of, what's so sad is when we were looking up stories or cases to do for this episode, I'm like, well, let's pick a woman, you know, let's do a woman murderer. And every single one that I found with multiple murders were the ones that killed their children.
They either killed their children or they are a nurse and they kill patients. Generally, that's how it is with multiple people, right? And
serial killers, except for like Eileen Wuornos, like the big serial killers that everybody has heard of, the ones that we normally would not cover on the show. They would go on rampages, I guess, but like most of the other smaller women serial killers are the ones that kill family, babies, and people in hospitals. Yeah.
It's awful. Awful.
It's one of the lowest of the lows, really. To kill your own babies?
I think that they have to be so sick that they cannot even relate to the fact that that is their child, that is their offspring. I don't know. The other one that I opted, I was looking at both these and I couldn't decide which one to do, and then I chose this one because she has been convicted and whatever. But another, and this was like, my mouth was open. She decided to drive the wrong way down a road and she killed 7 people, 3 of which were her own children. And she did a head-on collision on purpose.
Is that Diane? Whatever happened to Aunt Diane? That's different.
It's a different one. Yeah, it's a different one. But it was still like, I didn't feel comfortable doing it. She was convicted saying that you did it and you did it on purpose. But at the same time, I don't know.
Yeah.
But to get in a car and drive purposely and do a head-on to kill the people in your car that are your babies and then also kill other people, like I can't even.
I can't imagine it either.
I don't know.
Well, and a lot of these, like Dee Dee and her Gypsy, we all like attention. I get it. But to make other people sick or ill or kill them for
And to keep
for you to get
with
attention?
That. To keep
for
going
you?
with that.
I mean, that's so... I can't even fathom that. I mean, you're supposed to protect your babies.
Yep.
I don't know. It's sick. To me, it's like one of the worst of the worst. I just can't.
I agree. And I just...
People that hurt the elderly, the infants, babies, kids, and animals are the lowest form of society.
Worst.
Mm-hmm.
There's more to the story if you want to look it up. I tried to keep it short because that's
because
Christmas
it's
ones. But I mean, it is pretty straightforward, and she learned early on to not leave them alive because she did that, and then the baby was resuscitated, and then only to die later. But then also, I got to think, like, how many people saw that? I mean, even if it is a genetic condition, find out, help those babies, help them. Figure it out so that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, I don't know the laws on that. I don't know.
Not that it's a genetic condition, because I don't think it was. But I'm saying, if she's telling them that it's happening, why let her go home? Like, keep them in.
Wouldn't you think that the doctor would want to test that it really is a genetic condition? And I don't know.
Yeah, you'd think, Jen.
I guess that all boils down to insurance policies and can they afford it?
Get them in, get them out. Get them in, get them out. You know, here's the baby. Baby's good.
Horrible.
Go. Here's the baby. Baby's dead. Whatever. But if there's a mom that she kept going to the same hospital in Texas at first. I swear to goodness, that's why she moved to Kansas, because she knew that they were catching on after, how many babies. Come on.
Makes me ill. Makes me sick. All murders make me sick, don't get me wrong, but
no, they all do.
For mothers to betray their children like that is
disgusting.
Gross.
All right, Jen, that was that's it. So we'll see you
Not
tomorrow.
Good one, but
same bat time, same bat channel.
Alrighty.
And
remember, 8, right? I got 8.
Something like that. Yeah, 8, 9. I don't know. My days are mushing together.
I hope everybody's enjoying this.
Yeah. Well, hit us up. Remember, John. See this out. I lost my contact. My contact fell out of my eye, so I'm sitting here just winging.
You lost your contact, so my name is John now.
Oh, I can't see. And now I gotta put it in my mouth so that it stays wet. All right, that's what she said.
Stay wet.
Right. Okay. So anyway, Jen, remember, lock your doors
and keep passing by those open windows.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Love ya.
Today's episode was researched and written by me, Cam. For more information about this episode, as well as all the sources I used, please check out our show notes or the podcast website at ourtruecrimepodcast.com. Our True Crime Podcast is developed and created by hosts Jen and Cam. Original music and audio mix of all our True Crime Podcast episodes is courtesy of Nico from We Talk of Dreams. Listener discretion is provided by Edward October from October Pod VHS. Our True Crime Podcast is executive produced by Nico and Dick Vane. Make sure to like and subscribe to Our True Crime Podcast wherever you listen to your podcast. We can be reached on Instagram and Facebook at Our True Crime Podcast or on Twitter at Our True Crime Pod. You can email us at ourtruecrimepodcast@gmail.com. If you really like the show, make sure to check out our Patreon at Our True Crime Podcast. Our True Crime Podcast is an OTC production.